DeepSeek just quietly released a model without a major announcement. Let's unpack this one. This is a major update to the DeepSeek V3 model. This is not just some minor improvements. This one's a big deal. It has very big improvements on the benchmark scores compared to its predecessor. So it went from 75.9% to 81.2% on MMLU. On GPQ-A, it went from 59.1 to 68.4. On AMI, it went from 39.6 to 59.4. And on the live code bench, it went from 39.2 to 49.2. So we're looking at 5, 10, 20% increments across the board. Something else worth noting is artificialanalysis.ai does independent research of AI models and API providers. They say that this update to V3 is a 7-point improvement from the old version and is comparable to Grok 3 and GPT 4.5. And Grok 3, I think, is an especially smart model. Here are some of the most notable features according to the model card. It has improved executability of the code that it generates and more aesthetically pleasing web pages and game front ends. It has better Chinese writing proficiency and Chinese search capabilities. It's improved at function calling as well. Interestingly, the default system prompt uses the current date. AIs tend to not know what day it is. Now, for the temperature setting over on Shoots.ai, where I've been using it, the temperature is at 0.5. I think that's kind of a mid-range between what they recommend here. If you're a developer, it has some prompt examples for file uploading in web search and also for English and Chinese query. And it comes with an MIT license, which means you can modify it and use it any way you want. All right, let's get to testing. Shoots.ai has it available for free. You can use the playground, which is only one prompt at a time, but it allows you to set the temperature and the max token. So you can click over to chat and you can have a back and forth chat, but it does not have all the settings. Now, I recommend that you turn the max new tokens up to 4096. This is not a chain of thought model with the full thought process, but it does go through some reasoning steps and uses a fair amount of tokens. So the first question is, what is the average distance from the Earth to the sun? And how long would it take a vessel to reach the sun traveling from Earth at a speed of 13,000 miles per hour? It says 298 days or 9.8 months, which is correct. The next question I like to ask is because I know this is not baked into the training data, and if an AI gets this one right, it was through critical thinking and not confirmation bias. Most of them get this wrong, and reasoning models or chain of thought models tend to get this one right at some point along the way in the thought process, skip over it, then land on the wrong answer, which is kind of fascinating to me. But I have a straw and a beer bottle with a marble in it. The beer bottle is glued to the floor. How can I get the marble out without breaking the bottle? You can see here in the thought process, it says using the straw to create suction. That is actually the correct answer. But right now, this is only in the thought process, not the final answer. On its final answer, it says you could use the straw to carefully lift the marble out of the bottle, but that is incorrect. These thinking models seem to skip over the correct answer, even though it was right there. Next is a question where the answer could assume serial or it could assume parallel. Some AIs actually note both, and some pick one of the others. It takes 25 days for a man to grow a beard. 3 men grew beards. How long did it take for them to grow beards? In this case, it is assumed parallel and that it would take 25 days for all 3 men to grow beards, and it disregarded serial. I've decided to retire the Monty Hall problem because I think the AIs all kind of know it, and I wanted to give a little bit more complexity to the probability where it's a bit more vague, and it's really not to see if the AI comes to a correct answer, but just to see what its thinking is. Sleeping Beauty agrees to an experiment. On Sunday, she's put to sleep. A fair coin is flipped. If it lands on heads, she's woken once on Monday, then sleeps until the experiment ends. If it lands on tails, she's woken up on Monday, put back to sleep with her memory of Monday erased, and woken up again on Tuesday. Each time she wakes, she's asked, what's the probability the coin landed on heads? What should her answer be? There are 2 schools of thought on this one. A possibility is that it's 50-50 and it's 1/2. The other possibility is that the probability is 1/3. Let's see what DeepSeek V3-0324 thinks. This is taking the third position, claiming that that's more robust because it's taking into account all of the waking experiences and not going from the perspective of the coin toss because it affects the probability from her perspective. I don't know, I might keep that question, I'm not sure. I still might look for a different replacement for the Monty Hall problem. If you have any opinions about that or any suggestions, let me know in the comments. DeepSeek is known for having coding capability, so let's see it write the game Snake in Python. I will give it a try and see how it works. So right now all I've got is a green dot and a red dot. It's not really doing anything on its own. Usually Snake starts going on its own, but if I use the directional arrow keys, it'll move the green dot, but it doesn't do anything. If I press the key, it just keeps going in that direction. If I press up, it changes direction. If I keep going, it keeps going. If I bump into that red dot, the game ends. Also, if I just, let's say I press the up button once and I let go, it's going to go up and off the edge and end the game. So it didn't really make Snake. Since the model card claims this is good at multi-turn conversation, let's test that out and we'll also learn some things about the AGI benchmarks in the process. Teach me about ArcAGI1 benchmark. I will scroll through this slowly, so in case you want to pause it as you go along and read the entire output, you'll be able to do that. Now, ArcAGI1 is a test that AIs go through to determine if they're getting close to what the researchers would consider to be AGI, or artificial general intelligence. Now, in conclusion, it says, the ArcAGI1 benchmark is a crucial step toward evaluating and advancing AGI. It highlights the limitations of current AI systems while providing a clear target for developing more human-like reasoning abilities. Solving ArcAGI1 would signify a major breakthrough in AI, bringing us closer to machines that can think and adapt like humans. Would you like a deeper dive? Well, you want to know what I want to do. See if this is aware of ArcAGI2 and to give us a very basic breakdown of the difference. Now, tell me about ArcAGI2, but just the basics. Also give me a simple comparison of ArcAGI1 and ArcAGI2. This one was shorter and more succinct like I had asked. It says, ArcAGI2 is an evolution of the ArcAGI1 benchmark designed to be more challenging and better aligned with artificial general intelligence. Harder problems, larger input spaces, and more diverse domains. So in a quick comparison, it says ArcAGI1 is moderate and solvable by humans, while ArcAGI2 is harder, more varied, and has larger, more abstract inputs. Now, why does ArcAGI2 exist? Closer to AGI testing, better measures whether the AI can handle open-ended reasoning, exposes new weaknesses current models like LLM struggle on more the ArcAGI2, and drives research, encourages new approaches like neurosymbolic AI and meta learning. As far as I know, some of the best models in the world only score 0.5% to 1% on ArcAGI2, so that shows there's still a long way to go to AGI. Here's something a little weird. I accidentally inputted the question twice, and it gave me the answer twice. The answers were about the same, though. You can see a title from one of them here, and you can also see a title from another one here. Now, earlier in the conversation, it mentioned few-shot tests, and if you look down here, it says it again, few-shot learning. So it does recall what it had mentioned before. In conclusion, I would say this did pretty solid. DeepSeek models have a good reputation. V3 is a strong performer. R1 came out with its full chain of thought. Even though V3 is not a chain of thought reasoning model, it does actually show some of the reasoning steps. I don't really know what you call that, but either way, these DeepSeek models are solid performers. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you found some value in this video, please click the like button. I regularly test open source AI models that are cutting edge right when they come out, and I also like to do step-by-step tutorials how to run your own open source AI programs in Linux from stuff that I find on GitHub that I find interesting. Now, if you want to learn more about that, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing this on a regular basis. I hope to see you around. Take care and have a good one.